And with an intro like that, you just know it's time for DeJa Re-Review, that new series where I take a quick look at some item I've already reviewed before. Sometimes it is quick, sometimes it's more in depth and goes on for a little while. All depends on what actually happens during the review itself, because none of it's pre-prepared in any way, shape or form. So in some regards you could say this is just a follow-up review, having actually spent a lot more time having actually used the product in question. So here we are with the Rode Pro. This particular microphone is actually quite a popular one with many YouTubers, especially vloggers and so on and so forth, where they have it basically pointed towards them like that. If they're vlogging like this, hello, I'm a YouTube vlogger, or if they're doing the kind of thing I do, they have it pointed towards themselves like this, out of shot, out of sight, of course, in both cases. Yeah. Main problem with having it like this is of course you can't see the lights or display or anything, but I don't think it was actually intended for that kind of use, but you know, never mind. If you take this sound muffler type thing off, you just get to see the insides, and this just looks like, well, this kind of reminds me of those tumble fresh type things that you used to get for tumble dryers to help keep the washing load a little bit drier and fresher smelling, I think. It just basically, you know, seems to muffle out the sounds that way a bit, but the actual mic is right at the bottom there. You might be able to see this, might not. It just depends on the lighting. Yeah, maybe not, who can tell. You know, that's just foam basically, any good quality foam that'll fit quite nicely. It's all moulded to go into place and it works quite nicely. You've got this little shock mount here, which works absolutely fine when it's on the camera itself, but if you knock it with your hand or something like that, then you get an awful lot of feedback noises. The actual plug here just basically plugs it straight into the camera itself and overrides the built-in mic. Obviously I'm using the built-in mic at the moment, so the sound quality isn't that good. And you've got options to turn it on to one setting or a second setting. You've also got a sort of muffled decibel setting here, neutral and then plus 20. Now I'm quite softly spoken, so I found it best to have it on the maximum settings regardless. Remember what I said about the directional positioning for different types of video? If I was using this right now, I'd have all those settings on and have it pointing towards me like this. I found if you have it pointed the other way, then it ends up sounding quite muffled. So yeah, it is literally directional. You want this to be pointing directly at whoever should be speaking. It's not really appropriate for holding in place, as you know, as I've mentioned before. Even if you're holding it by this here, you know, gingerly like this, any nudge on this will translate into shock on that for some reason, unless of course it's actually properly mounted like it should be. As far as mounting itself is concerned, as far as the hot shoe mount is concerned, yeah, that works quite well. There has been a couple of times when it's worked too well and it's been so tight I've had to take something like a pair of pliers to unfasten it. Maybe I just don't know my own strength, or maybe I'm better at tightening things up than I am untightening it. And of course, this does not take power from your DSLR, it takes power from a battery that you have to put in here. And it can be a bit difficult sometimes to get that out, but see what I mean? But it's one of these 9-volt types. Fun little fact, if you put your tongue against these two connectors, you will get a mild electric shock. I found that out much to my cost when I was about 5, and kind of became addicted to it strangely for a couple of years, every now and then. Oh, this couldn't possibly hurt. Ah, yes it does. Yeah. You've got to be careful with this. If you do leave it on overnight, it will drain the battery. Even though if you, you know, just use it briefly, it doesn't seem to have much of a drain on the battery whatsoever. Also, one thing I really do like about the display here, you might be able to make this out, you might not. It actually tells you which way around to actually put the battery. So negative on top, positive on the bottom. And of course it won't power up until you've actually got this in, because that's what actually keeps everything connected. It's probably easier to get this into place and out of place if you actually take this thing off, but let's just put that to the test. Yeah, you can see there's a sort of release mechanism there. So everything's pretty well thought out. It's just so awkward. Maybe I've put it that way. Is that what you're supposed to do? Yes. There you go. Yeah, so that's what the one drawback. I mean, it does make it rather secure, very secure, as it should be, but it does make things just a bit too tight in some regards. Well, that's this episode of DeJa Review. Do I recommend the Rode Pro mic? Yes. Yes, I do. My God, this thing is dusty. That's because I haven't actually dusted it down for a while. Ah, well.